have some breaking news to pass along. There are now confirmed cases of coronavirus here in Michigan.
It's interesting that the things we cherish most are the same things we walk right by. They come so intertwined in our situation that it becomes almost impossible to pick out in our day-to-day lives. That is, impossible until things change. Because as it turns out, the thing we call life has a say. There's a saying, you never really know what you have until it's gone. And as I sat in that classroom on that Friday the 13th, I began to become real happy. Yes, 2 weeks off. I had no clue what we were about to go through. Those 2 weeks quickly turned into 2 months, which quickly turned into 6 months, then a year. I believe that sometimes it takes the harshest of reminders to help us recapture that true perspective that shows us what we had previously failed to see before. As we were hit with these hardships, we were hit with a new normal to life. A new normal where social distancing and self-isolation became our everyday practices. We lived life apart so we could all live together once again. We took advantage of the time with our loved ones, and we took the time to appreciate the heroes among us who continually went to work so we could stay home. While things may get worse, or they may get better, life will continue with lessons learned, because nothing defines the human spirit more than our ability to fight and stand together in hard times. Someday, we'll look back at this moment, and what we've gone through, learned, and survived. We saw the human spirit at its best and how it brought us together like never before. While it may seem hard to find a reason to be optimistic right now, to understand and to comprehend why, just know our lives are what we make it. We will get through this, and there will be an end. While our world might not look the same, we will be back, better as ever. And as the great Martin Luther King Jr. once said, everything that is done in this world is done by hope.
I wanna be king in your story. I wanna know who you are. I want your heart to be.
I'm Keona Hiram, and I teach social studies here at Northwest. Glad to be a Mountie.
Run in the dark. That's all that love ever taught me. Oh,
Black history means it's just history, not black history. I think it's important. That's one of the reasons why I got into teaching history in the first place.
Black history to me just was a way to highlight accomplishments.
And to be honest, back when I was younger, black history really didn't mean anything to me because I really didn't know anything about African American history, so it didn't excite me because I really didn't know anything about it, and it really wasn't taught in my school.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Anspaugh, and I am one of the assistant principals here at the high school.
remember you shivered and shone. I'll never forget what you looked like on that night.
So when I think about Black History now, again, my mind goes straight to Black History Month, because again, it's something that by tradition, schools have always celebrated. I also start to think about how far we've come, but also how much more work we have to do around social injustice.
I think as I've grown up and gotten this job and moved to obviously a bigger town, I can tell that it's much more than that, and it's something to be celebrated, but for us also to realize that there are a lot of things that haven't been solved and need to be addressed.
Well, Black history right now in my professional career is a very integral part of what we do on a daily basis. We have a lot to learn and a lot to experience when it comes to Black history.
Black history to me is a whole lot more. I think for me, Black history is the struggle the oppression, what African Americans have had to go to just to achieve some form of equality.
When I think of it now, man, I get excited when that month comes. I think it's a major deal, and I wish more people thought it was a major deal, because the more we learn about African American history, which is American history, the more we come together.
Well, I know that I let it down. I hope that Black history in the future is not limited to a month a year where we talk and focus about the inequities and major concepts that need to be discussed.
A reason to not have Black history anymore. I think that's something we should all shoot for, is when we pay attention to those around us and their differences, their uniqueness, that can bind us to what's the same about us at the same time. So I'm hoping that someday we'll get to a point where we don't need to have any special recognition months or holidays, because it just becomes part of our fabric. That's why.
And make it part of our everyday lives, and finding that hope and this word right here, love for all, is really what it's going to take. Because oftentimes I know Mr. Hardrick and I have conversations about loving thy neighbor. No matter if you agree to disagree, you should always love your neighbor. And so that's really where I hope where Black history becomes our future.
Well, I hope it becomes a daily thing. I hope it's not just a month, that we're just celebrating all humanity, that we become accepting of all, we become more equal. And again, it's an opportunity to provide healing for a lot of us from our ancestors who were a part of this history and decision-making process, and for those families that were on the other side. I just hope we continue to become one. We continue to learn from each other, grow stronger, and become more unified.
Day's gonna come. I just want the devil to hate me. Oh,
Change. Segregation.
Freedom.
Racism.
Rights. Prejudice.
Justice.
Civil. Unity.
Revolt.
oh, dear resides in those eyes. You got that power over me.
Let's take it to our game of the week, where we see Northwest defending their home court versus the rival Western Panthers. Both teams would start hot on the offense. Northwest would score in the final seconds to put them up at the end of the first quarter. The Mounties will continue to be hot on the glass and will get a big three to start the second quarter versus their rivals from Western. The Panthers would continue to hang with the Mounties and would eventually go into the locker room, only trailing by 4 at the half. Northwest will get a big three-pointer from Dawson White to silence the streaking Panthers in the third quarter. The Mounties will go on a hot streak and bring their lead to double digits to end the third quarter. In the end, the Mounties would prevail, defeating their rival Western Panthers 59-43. This would bring the Mounties' record to 1-1 overall and in conference, while the loss would keep the Panthers winless on the year.
Hey Northwest, it's Kelly here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a DIY scratch pad. So some of the things you need, you're going to want a piece of paper. I'm using sketchbook paper, that way it's a little bit more sturdy. You're going to need crayons, black paint, you can probably use any color paint. You're going to need dish soap, a paintbrush, and then something to mix up some paint and dish soap together. So the first step is you're going to want to color your paper with your crayons. You're going to want to do it so there's no white left on the paper. So this is what my paper looks like after I'm done coloring it. I just did random chunks of color all over the paper. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is mix 2 parts paint, 1 part dish soap into a cup. So after you get that all mixed up, you're going to want to paint like a thin layer on top of your crayon. After you've done that, you're just going to want to let it sit until it's completely dry. So after your card is done and dry, you can start scratching away.
We're making these cookies today. You have to preheat the oven to 375. You're fine. Do we have to spray the pan at all?
No, it said not to. I wonder what happened if we did.
Your face isn't in mine, isn't it?
It's fine. We should spray it. Only like 1 row.
Okay.
Yeah, just 1. Oh wait, let's get the baking soda. Oh yeah, everyone's full.
That's what they look like. That's what it looks like on the pan. There's 20 cookies.
I know it's a video.
Alright, now you just put them in the oven. Alright, so now they're done.
Get a thing for... Yeah. I thought you were gonna grab it with your hand. I was like, okay, down, down, down. And you need a thing to put on the counter. Mom will get it if you bring it to me. They feel bigger than last time.
It's what they look like done.
So, I don't think anything seriously happens if you spray it.
Alright, so that's the aftermath. And we figured out that spraying the pan actually works 10 times better than not. So I would recommend you spraying the pan.